There are 121 cards in Clash Royale, and unfortunately, some of them are neglected. So today I'm gonna go over 8 cards that absolutely deserve either an Evo or a hero. Hopefully Evos. Bring back Evos, please. Starting off with the Prince. Now hear me out before you crucify me in the comments. We want a card that is popular, underloved, or not doing so well in the meta right now. Now I imagine if it's not a super popular card, they probably won't make as much money and will probably get cranky and take away some other form of progression from us. So we want it to be a card that people would actually use. Now the Prince is, since his nerf, you remember when he was like insta-charged? Yeah, that was a nightmare. But we could have the Prince have an Evo. Now, I don't like the idea of a hero Prince because, again, I think heroes are the worst thing they've added in a very long time and are up there with the worst thing ever added in Clash Royale. Mainly, I mean, this is a problem for another video, but I guess to touch upon it, I think the problem with heroes is they're not really that fun, they're not really that exciting, and they get inherent value every single time they're played because even though you don't have to use the ability every single time, there's the threat that you can use the ability, and the fact that you just have a card that can have an ability and not use the ability and have it just be no loss to you. So I'm team bring Evos back, and I think we definitely could have a Prince Evo. Now what you would give to the Prince Evo, that's beyond my pay grade. Love to hear what you would think in the comments, but I imagine some sort of something to help him maybe a little more against swarms or to make his charge a little more powerful or punishing. Potentially you could do something with lance penetration. We could do something with his horse. We could do something where maybe he like hops off his horse and continues to do damage after. I don't know, don't give him any horrible ideas. I just think the Prince is a great idea for a potential Evo. Next up are elite barbarians, and I would definitely consider giving these, maybe I'm still team Evo, but I would consider maybe a hero because it would be kind of hard to use an ability on a 6 elixir card, which might be a little risk reward action coming in here. Of course, maybe not, maybe you just button mash and win, I don't know, but the elite barbarians are a card that's extremely underloved. They're not really usable in the meta right now, especially with so many cheaper things. You'd rather have a mini tank or a damage dealer. You can't really have a really expensive card that's supposed to be your damage dealer because oftentimes you're going to get outcycled or you're going to get caught with not enough elixir to afford the elite barbarians, and they honestly get countered way too easily on offense as well. So again, let me know what crazy ideas you have for elite barbarians, but I think something like again, I don't want to be too generic here, but they're really, really bad against swarms. So something, maybe having them stack hit speed. I don't know, something ridiculous like that. Maybe they freaking, I don't know, take off their helmets and swing in front of them and do a big area of effect attack. And I don't know. Here's another underloved card that I really think needs some help, the Skeleton Dragons. Now, as a former Skeleton Dragon user, they're completely unusable and kind of got phased out, even though they were in a couple of decks when Baby Dragon Evo got added. And kind of a lot of cards in Clash Royale have been kind of shoved to the side given that Evos and Heroes have come out, but they did a really good job with Evos, having like 40 Evos in the game. It was like super diverse and you're able to play all sorts and all types of decks. The Skeleton Dragons are just a card you'd never even think about using in literally any deck, any time, because honestly, they're just way too squishy. I do love the damage they deal, but they don't do enough splash at all. So in order to buff them, I think I could see a hero, to be honest. I could see a hero Skeleton Dragons. I can't picture hero Skeleton Dragons in my head. I could picture an Evo Skeleton Dragon, though, either helping them, maybe be funny if they were like lightning fast. I'm terrible with coming up with ideas for them, but their biggest weaknesses are definitely, I wouldn't touch the health. If they're too hard to kill, they would be horrible for the game. But the splash, maybe? To have them rival some of the other splash units. Every splash card in the game got a big buff except for the Skeleton Dragons, so you pretty much use all of them over the Skeleton Dragons. I don't know. Now the Stab Goblins are just, like I mentioned it in my ranking video, the most boring card in the game. They're just regular ass Stab Goblins. Make them do something. I don't know what it is, whether you give them... How do you make a shield? Why would you do that? That doesn't make sense, because then they just be guards. How do you make this not the most boring card in the game? Throw them at each other. Maybe we have like one of them like spawn a freaking thing in the back that throws... That would be an Evo Mortar. I don't know. This card just needs something because it's just horrible. I don't know how to give this card a buff because I really didn't think about giving this card a buff, but actually I did. I spent like 10 minutes thinking about it. I don't know, like, what do you do to the goblins to make them actually usable? Because I'd rather have skeletons for the cheap cycle, and I'd rather have guards for the shield, and I'd rather have goblin gang for the extra goblins, and, you know, the or air attack that we get. Why would I ever use this card? Now, spear goblins are kind of the same damn thing. I have this, like, thing with it's all these little prince, archers, spear goblins. It's like if they did too much damage, they'd be beyond broken, but they don't do anything. Spear goblins don't do anything, and it's a good thing. We don't want to buff the spear goblins directly because that buffs way too many other cards like goblin giant and like goblin gang, which we definitely don't want to buff. Well, I say that because I don't want to face goblin giant, not because it doesn't deserve a buff. But with spear goblins, I feel like there's definitely something you could do with a supercharged spear, potentially giving the first attack like triple damage, and just like there'd be something light, but you just play the spear goblins down and they just absolutely decimate something. That'd be kind of cool. No, maybe they do have supercharged spears just the whole time. That's too similar to archers. No, maybe it's not, but I mean, we could just do something with making them have I think without being too close to archers, maybe nothing to do with their range, but just have them either attack way faster or attack way faster, because attacking like more damage would be too similar to archers. So just give them like, I don't know, freaking Gatling gun or something. Just make them attack really fast and make the spear goblins like a viable threat that you have to spell, and therefore help your deck with spell bait or something like that. Now again, though I am a Tombstone player at heart, I don't currently use it right now, but I was using it a little bit when I went on stream in 110 consecutive games with a Lava Tombstone Curse. Shout out to Lava Ben. The Tombstone's a card that I don't see in any decks. I mean, it's in Lava Hound, in a couple of Lava Hound decks. No longer in Graveyard. It's no longer in any deck in the entire game. And the Tombstone's kind of it's not like, you don't want to overbuff it, because then it's going to be extremely annoying to break through, because, you know, any meta where there's a building that's really hard to deal with is just a horrible meta, speaking from experience. And Tombstone is a card that I don't feel like would need really that much of a buff. How do you even buff it without it being broken? Instead, I say we give it an Evo. Now, we could... Again, I can't picture a hero Tombstone, but I don't, because especially with, I mean, actually I could, because you would have a building ability, which would be able to spawn something. Maybe when you press the ability, you spawn a special type of skeleton, or you speed up the spawn rate, or you protect them. Maybe you activate a shield on the Tombstone. So I could see a hero Tombstone, not really from optics, but I mean from the sense of this would make sense to give it an ability type thing. Making the Tombstone like worth the extra elixir, maybe a 2 elixir ability that kind of, you know, protects it. Maybe, like I said, does something with the skeleton, spawns a special type of skeleton. I don't know. That would be kind of cool, though, no? I imagine this is probably going to be my most unpopular one, but E-Giant, I actually considered putting Hog on the list until I realized, like, oh, because I was going for the, you know, popular card, fun card, brings interest to the game. I would actually, like, I hate this game more than I do if the Hog Rider had a hero or an Evo, though, so please, let's not do that. It's already an Evo. But the E-Giant is just a card that's really fun to play. If you have the right counters, it's, you know, or if the wrong counters, it's impossible to play against, which is kind of annoying. I hate these really polarizing cards, but E-Giant is completely useless right now. You need E-Giant Lightning in order to get any damage against building decks, and that is a usually -8 to 10 elixir trade, which really is just, like, unbearable for a lot of matchups. And you're not going to be able to break through with the E-Giant. So I don't really know what the strategy is here. Maybe it, like, an Evo or a hero extends his ability radius out, so he's able to, like, for a couple of seconds, target way more stuff and kind of mess up current E-Giant counters. We would want something that doesn't make him uncounterable, but makes him better versus his normal counters. So maybe, like, versus buildings and stuff. Maybe we have an ability where he just freaking, yeah, if he was just to activate or just look at only the tower, that would be the stupidest thing of all time. So not that, but I think the E-Giant needs something, because it's currently completely useless, and it's a damn shame to have a win condition that's completely useless. So there are theories out there, and I just genuinely know nothing about a potential Barb Hut rework or nerf, or I'm sorry, buff, or an Evo or a hero, but the Barb Hut needs something. And I figure, although the Furnace and the Goblin Hut were great reworks, I don't really see what you could do with the Barbarian Hut to kind of make it that viable building without just completely changing the identity of the card. And I'm not sure if you want to do that or if you can do that. I suggested a while back some stupid idea where you rework it into like a freaking catapult that like, or sorry, like ballista that freaking shoots damage and barbarians at opponents, which would be cool. I guess I still like that idea. I still really freaking like that idea. But I mean, the Barbarian HUD is a card that maybe gets a rework, but I would rather see get an Evo or a hero so that, you know, it maintains its core function, but you can commit a little bit extra and have a reason to play it maybe, and it does something game changing. I do still like the ballista idea though, but again, we do have to be super careful because if anybody remembers way back in the day when Barbarian Hut was 7 elixir and a viable card and they super buffed it back in the Sim City triple spawner meta, or maybe it was double spawner meta, it was genuinely the most boring thing to ever go up against. You can't have a building that's unbreakthroughable. It needs to be breakthroughable. So when we think about a Barbarian Evo or hero, it needs to be something that you can break through, but still provides value for the barbs, which is probably a thing that developers have been working on for a while. I can understand why it's a bit hard to come up with an idea, because I have no idea, but I do really like the idea of turning it into a ballista, stop spawning barbs, start shooting big damage, and launching barbs at people. I love that idea. Brilliant. And of course, if you have any other ideas for Evos or heroes, let me know in the comments, but I think those are the 8 cards that probably need it more than anything else in the game.